This isn't just a new car, it is a new brand. Genesis is the freshly launched premium mark from Hyundai. It is to Hyundai what Lexus is to Toyota. And this is the G70, the company's answer to established mid-sized executive cars like the BMW 3 Series, Audi A4 and Mercedes C-Class. So the question is, what can the Genesis G70 bring to the party that is going to persuade you out of your Audi A4s, your 3 Series, your Volvo S60s, all of those established rivals? Well, just a quick glance at the brochure tells you that it's probably not going to be the powertrains. This is offered with a 2-litre petrol in 2 different power outputs, or a 2.2 diesel that we have got here, but it is notably missing a hybrid or an electric or even a 4-wheel drive version. So you've got to say that I think Genesis has got a little bit of a way to go on that front. But there are actually quite a number of reasons why you might go for a Genesis over an Audi or a BMW or any of those other cars. But before we find out what those reasons might be, don't forget to like this video, turn on your notifications so that you don't miss any of our lovely videos, and of course subscribe to the CarGurus UK YouTube channel. Genesis is pitching itself as something of a thinking man's premium brand. For a start, it's offering more equipment as standard. Even the basic car gets leatherette seats with electric seat adjustment and lumbar adjustment, reversing camera and all-round sensors, keyless entry, adaptive cruise control, blind spot warning and more. While the higher spec trims get powered boot lid, adaptive dampers, bigger wheels and, on this top spec Sportline model, even Brembo brakes. And for the price of a top spec G70, which is around about £40,000, you're getting more like a mid-spec version of any of those rivals, so you're definitely getting a lot more equipment with the Genesis. Not only that, but Genesis is offering you 5 years free servicing, 5 years warranty, 5 years roadside assistance, and they'll even come out and give you your like-for-like courtesy car when they pick up your car for a service. Basically, Genesis is offering to save you time and hassle as well as money. It's going for the lifestyle angle, and if you need further proof of that, just check out its TV advert where an impossibly beautiful person appears to spend a lot of time under the sea. So what that tells you about it, I don't know, but they are definitely going for the upmarket lifestyle angle. And more than that, I think the G70 looks really cool, especially if you go for the top spec Sportline, which gets this darker chrome, which I think really helps sort of perhaps mask the size of that grille a bit. I just think it's got really good sort of stance and a really nice road presence. At 330 litres, the Genesis G70's boot is one of the smallest in the class. It'll still do for light family duties, and it's worth mentioning that there's a very handsome G70 shooting brake estate version. But even so, there are far more practical alternatives. It's a similar story in the rear seats, which will be okay for a couple of average-sized adults, but there is a bit less room than in most rivals, and you'll struggle for legroom if you're going to try and fit a chunky child seat. It's very lovely up here too. This being the top spec Sportline, you do get this very nice leather. You get that on the mid-spec car too actually, which is really good. Plus your heated seats, heated steering wheel, wireless phone charging. It really has got all the kit that you need. But you can add the innovation pack, should you wish, which brings a head-up display, a fancier 3D digital driver's readout. The infotainment is actually fine. It's logical to use mostly. Having to swipe sideways to get to different menus can be a little bit peculiar, but the screen responds quickly and you do get all the kit that you want. It's a shame that you don't get wireless Apple CarPlay, but it's there if you plug your phone in, as is Android Auto. You also get nav, digital radio, Bluetooth and all the functions that you want. So this is the 2.2 diesel G70. And even though diesel sales obviously have declined a lot recently, it's still going to be quite a popular option. And I can see why, because it's got loads of torque, 0 to 62 in about 7.5 seconds. It's got 197 brake horsepower, so it's sort of up there on a par for, you know, power and performance with most of those obvious alternatives. And it's quite nice to drive. All the G70s get an 8-speed automatic gearbox, which also does the job quite well. If you do want to drive the G70 with any kind of aggression, you can stick it in sport, everything sharpens up. But I do find that it holds on to gears way longer than it needs to, and it's not useful at all, because obviously the best aspect of this engine is its mid-range torque, so holding it onto really high revs is kind of pointless. So I think that's kind of a bit of a nonsense in terms of the way the gearbox responds. Of much more relevance to most people buying a Genesis G70 is that you can stick it in comfort, and it's a perfectly decent cruiser. It's a good motorway car. Steering's got nice response, but it's not the most refined. This diesel engine is really quite rattly. Even on steady throttle actually, you still get quite a lot of that sort of diesel grumble coming in. Definitely much quieter engines in pretty much any of the obvious alternatives. I have to say the ride also on the G70 could be better. So you get standard adaptive dampers on the top 2 trims. It's okay at higher speeds, but it's particularly unsettled around town. It's just constantly choppy, it doesn't ever seem to settle. And even when you do get up to those higher speeds, although the sort of low frequency stuff in the road, it soaks that up quite nicely, but bigger potholes and things, you get quite a heavy bump. It's quite stiffly sprung, this car. It just feels a little bit firmer than it should for a car that ultimately should be prioritising comfort and refinement, I think, over anything else. Because the way it handles, it turns into corners nicely, quite nice steering weight, so it's actually quite fun on a decent road, but it doesn't have the sort of poise and light-footedness that you get with a 3 Series or a Jaguar XE. The standards in this class are so high when it comes to balance of driver reward and comfort levels that it's pretty much as good as it gets. So yeah, G70 is definitely slightly short of that. It's still likely to tick the boxes, but you can do better. Also, I would add, it's quite a cold day today, but it's sort of a bit damp, and the traction issues with this car are quite noticeable. It definitely struggles to get its power down, so it would definitely benefit from a 4-wheel drive option. In the end, really, it does feel like the G70 is still more about the tech, the interior, all the equipment that you get, more than it is about any kind of finer driving dynamics or comfort levels. I think the fact that you get the really cool camera that comes up if you add the innovation pack when you indicate to show the blind spot and down the side of the car, that's really clever. Aspects like the seats, really comfy, really nice side support, stick it in sport and it sort of grips you harder, like the old sort of BMW M cars, that kind of thing. There's lots of little touches to it that I think really sort of do make it feel like a very luxurious car, and that's what's going to sell it. There are other cars in this class that are better to drive, there are cars that are more practical, there are cars that have a much more modern looking, more minimalist interior, and efficiency isn't why you're going to buy it either. So we're getting about 38 mpg from this diesel, and we've done a fair bit of motorway driving and a bit of B-road stuff, so I think that's a reasonable expectation for quite varied driving. It's not exceptional, is it? I think you'll see better from quite a few of the other cars that you can get in this class. And obviously, like I've said, you don't get a hybrid nor a pure electric option. Genesis is going to do a pure electric version of the GV60 SUV, which could be quite a big seller. I think that's a more promising option in the Genesis range. So we will see.
There's genuinely a lot to like about the Genesis G70. It will save you a fair amount of money over an equivalent Audi, BMW, Volvo or otherwise, and it's even expected to hold its value quite well. But it has to be said that there's still improvements to be made in the way it drives, the practicality and also the engines on offer. So yes, the Genesis G70 is rather charming, but this remains a car that you buy because you want it, because it's certainly not objectively the best out there. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the CarGurus UK YouTube channel and head to cargurus.co.uk for a fantastic array of used cars.